Yo, what's up? This is Questlove of the legendary Roots crew, and this is Riviera Jazz Club. My name?
Yeah, Questlove.
All right. So, long story short is, everyone in hip hop that has a title or moniker, it's names that are so limited and they're dated that you instantly know what year they're from. In other words, you know, when the name Cool was in your name, you're like, okay, that's the 80s. Fresh, when that name was out, then you're like, that's the late 80s. You know, there's the Fresh Prince, there's Cool J, there's Def Don. You know, I never liked hip hop titles because it would just let the audience know what year you came out. Even artists today like Lil Wayne, Lil Kim, Lil da-da-da, Lil da-da-da, or Young Bird, Young Dro, like, okay, we know that they came out in 2000. I wanted a title that would leave you clueless as to when did I come about. I had a question mark symbol. But of course, journalists were confused. They kept calling me Mark. They said, so Mark, your band The Roots is brand new on your jazzy hip hop group. I'm like, whoa, why are you calling me Mark? They're like, question mark? And I'm like, no, my name is No Name. That just went over the heads of every journalist. So by our second album, I decided, okay, I'm gonna call myself Questlove. Love is one of the more original last names for old school hip hoppers. You either a rock, a ski, or a love. So Quest Rock, that didn't work. Quest Ski, that didn't work. So I figured Questlove. Or Quest Money. Money's also last name. Quest Money, you know, but nah. Questlove, that's a way better name.
Sounds good anyway.
Yeah, Questlove. When we first came to the Nice Jazz Festival, we were a new band. We only had 2 albums out. The organizer of the festival kept telling us to turn it down. Like, jazz music is very silent, very quiet. The decibel level is like here is like 88. Naturally, we are a group that's like 130 decibels. We're like one of the loudest groups in music. But you know, now we return 20 years later with 17 records under our belt and with a lot more experience. So you know, to be here 20 years ago as a new person and to come back 20 years later as an experienced person, we're going to show you everything we've ever learned in the last 21 years. A lot of improvisation, a lot of hip hop, a lot of entertainment. This is all going to be in there. Our life is consumed by our day job now. The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, which is pretty much like it's a consuming kind of 50 to 70 hour week project. So a lot of the times, my other life, which is what I'm here now, this is my other life, starts at 7 p.m., sometimes ends at 3 a.m. So it's kind of weird now. Something that I used to devote 14 or 15 hours a day to, I now pretty much just can only do 4, maybe 5 hours after work a day too. So I mean, we're going to work on another Roots album, but it probably won't be out until 2016. I've always been scoring and doing side work for other projects. So at the time, I was the kind of the musical director of the Chappelle Show. Whenever Dave Chappelle needed any music for season 2, I was involved in that process. So as a result of me working on that show, when former late night host Conan O'Brien was going to go to another show, and they were going to bring in Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Fallon decided to enlist the services of one of the Chappelle Show guys, sort of as a guide to tell him who are the best writers, who's the best producers, who's, as a guide. And so what happens is this guy jokingly says, the Roots should be your, you should use the Roots. Now what he meant was, the Roots know every good musician in the world. They can put together a late night band for you. And Jimmy instead was like, no, why not just go after the Roots? Like, I don't want who the Roots recommend, I want the Roots. And he just so happened to catch us at a time in which, at the time we were like on our 17th year. And life is just different now in the world than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Europe was Europe. The United States was the United States. South America was South America. Africa was Africa. Canada was Canada. Mexico was Mexico. You had different worldwide experiences. That's what made world travel so incredible. But as technology has progressed, you're basically slowly discovering that the sort of westernized colonization effect has now hit the entire world. In other words, no matter where you are, like when people ask me now what's world travel like, I tell them it's like New Jersey. Everywhere you go, you're going to see a Starbucks, you're going to see a Burger King, you're going to see a Foot Locker, you're going to see a 7-Eleven. Like, they're everywhere. So it's the experiences that you have that are unique just for one particular part of the country really isn't that as it used to be back in the 80s and 90s when we were first coming over here. So as a result, when you're like us, when you do 270, days out the year for 20 years in a row, you've seen everything. So we needed a change. So he just happened to say, what do you think? And we said, okay, we'll do it. And he was shocked, and we were shocked. And then he really didn't believe that we wanted to do it. And we really didn't believe that he was going to offer it to us. So it was kind of like a gun battle. Like, we had to put all of our weapons down. And, we just wanted something new. But now I know, we've been doing it for 6 years now. The grass is greener on the other side. Because now I'll be on the set and I'll say, man, like, I'll do anything to go back to Europe for the summer festivals. But now that I'm here for 2 weeks, I'm like, I miss Pizza Fridays, man. I need Pizza Fridays back. So it's like, the grass is green on the other side. You want what you don't got, but then you want what you don't got, and so that's human nature. I'm a tech person, so I keep up with it, but I see how it's overwhelming, and I see how it cuts corners. And for me, I always use the food metaphor, and the food metaphor is like, yes, a microwave can make you a full course meal in just 5 minutes of throwing it inside this thing and comes out nice and hot. But sometimes, man, you just need a good meal that's prepared for 3 hours, and you taste the difference between a meal that's been barbecued or heated in the oven or even fried. You kind of, technology is good for cutting corners, You know, I can now create a song in 4 hours, whereas like back in the day when I was using reel to reel, like it took like 2 days to do. I still prefer that method. Like when I do D'Angelo's Black Messiah album, he still uses reel to reel, a lot of analog equipment. So that's a good thing. But you know, I like technology, but I don't like it at the rate where it just gets rid of what was before. I like options. So
Thank you very much for taking the time.
that's okay.
Check it out. You're now in tune to the sounds of a R to the double O to the TS, and I stretch limits of this profession. Voice physically fit tracks, I've been pressing. Extension of my ancestors.